Yes, it's the Finnish football show. Thanks for joining us for another episode of our match report show. This new format that we've been trying out for a little while. We've got the whole team here again today. Hi, Keke.
Hey.
Hi, Rich.
Moi.
And hi, Mark.
Howdy.
So we're just recording this about half an hour after the end of Finland 1, Ukraine 2. I think it's fair to say we're feeling a little bit flat. We were supposed to start this call by joining Mark H in his car or minibus on the way back from the game, but it didn't quite pan out the way you wanted it to in many ways, Mark.
No, I was attacked. Well, I was attacked. That's a big way to start. No, with a bit of a flu from the kids. So mini nuha is what it's called. And even though the mask mandates are gone and COVID's generally under control, it's still the case that when you get to large scale events, you can't have any symptoms. So any like sneezes or coughs or anything like that, and the securities will turn you away. So the lads agreed that. This would be better for me to sit out on the bench, and I have to say, given the way we played, maybe being stuck on my sofa wasn't the worst thing tonight.
Okay, we were the first two to jump into this call, and you seem quite down about the performance and the result and everything. Why don't you talk a little bit about how the game started?
Well, yeah. While I was a bit down, really. I mean, we all know that the Finland team's come a long way, and I am usually ever the optimist. I did fancy our chances against them today. We'd all said in the pre-match and in our blog post that they are the draw specialists. So with that in mind, that was the very least I was hoping for, really. But yeah, I was still battling with my various attempts to watch the match, and found out that we were 1-0 down when I finally got one of these streams to operate. But
it's always frustrating when you're trying to get into the game, especially like logging in or whatever, and it's not quite working, and then you finally get in there and find you're already one down. Exactly,
which was how it started for me. But I think we can all agree Finland were just that little bit slow tonight. I think that's the word that we've shared around the WhatsApp group, the FFS WhatsApp group, throughout the game, and I think that's what sums it up. Really, they were just too slow. Ukraine looked faster, quicker, stronger. I mean, to use a football cliche, Ukraine looked like they wanted it more. But I suppose we were just chatting off air there, and Rich has reminded me that Ukraine are probably a little bit better than us, despite their recent results.
Yeah, Rich, you appeared last weekend on the Ukrainian equivalent of the Finnish football show, talking about this game, and we linked to it in the Facebook group, and actually I think in the preview for this as well, I added the link in there. Tell us a little bit about the first half of the game from your perspective.
It was difficult because conceding a goal so early, it was less than 4 minutes on the clock, and Thomas Lamb, who was playing in place of Tim Sparv, just looked, rusty. He hasn't really been in the international fold very much for the last couple of years. He's playing his club football in Bulgaria now. And he got turned a little bit too easily for the goal. And after that, Finland were kind of chasing a bit, but they just looked lethargic. And the players that you come to expect of being quite reliable, players like Ariuri was making mistakes. Toivio wasn't looking particularly fresh either. And I mean, Toivio hadn't played the last two qualifiers. He'd been on the bench. And you wonder if that was kind of a bit of long-term planning from Rive, that maybe he was looking towards the future, and he came in today because O'Shaughnessy was out.
It's interesting because the Ukrainian podcast guys were quite, their opinions were buoyed a little bit by the fact that we had these players out like O'Shaughnessy and like
Uronen, yeah.
Uronen, sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
And then, and we were less sort of worried about that, but it turns out that did seem to make quite a difference, even if it was just in the balance, not necessarily the quality.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, O'Shaughnessy normally plays on the left of the three. Raitala moved back to the left to cover where Uronen would usually play, but it wasn't even there that was particularly the issue. It just seemed like you had certain players. I mean, Kamara looked very good again, but I mean, players were making basic errors. A lot of the passing was easily cut out and telegraphed, and yeah, it was just difficult. I think too many players had off days, and a couple of the replacements came in and didn't look. They did look like there was a hole there, and as Keke said before, if Sparv wouldn't played, Schuller would have played, but then he was suspended, so. You're down to your kind of third choice. And even Joni Kauko, if he was playing at the level he was a year or two ago and not finding his feet in India, he'd have probably played. So it's difficult. I mean, of circumstance, but that kind of showed really that Finland weren't at the top of their game when they really, really needed to be.
It was a lovely strike from Yarmolenko in the 4th minute from the edge of the box, curled it in past Luke in goal, and I think he may have seen it a bit late, but I think even if he'd seen it from the very beginning, he'd have had no chance with that.
Yeah, but you've got to factor in that it's in a sense what they do. You know what I mean? I think if you take any one of those Ukrainian midfielders and type them into Google, you're going to get a video of a 25-30 yard sort of howitzer of goal, because they're not usually ones for tap-ins, although we did let one of those go past us tonight. So I think the amount of time and space that you had on the edge of the box was, I mean, you've got to prepare better for that, because that's what they're really good at. And I think even with the position that Lamb had for that first goal, he was. I mean, you could see it from the sofa. He was going like he'd sold Lamb down the river. I think half a minute before he sort of tucked inside and then hit his shot. So yeah, it was. It was a lovely strike and a lovely finish, but we just gave him far too much space.
Now, I also kind of missed the first goal going in because I hadn't quite settled down in front of the TV for various reasons, and then I think I got up and went to the kitchen very briefly and managed to kind of miss Teemu Pukki's goal as well. Keke, tell us a little bit about that goal.
Yeah, well, when that went in, I thought, right, here we go. If we take a 1-1 into half time, we'll regroup and have a bit of a chance. But the goal in itself, I mean, obviously Teemu Pukki's gonna claim it. He ran away celebrating as he should. But in my mind, it looked a bit like the clearance from the Ukraine defender sort of cannoned back off of Pukki and made its way into the back of the net. But yeah, as I said, I thought
Poacher's goal though, being in the right place at the right time.
Exactly that. He's got to be in the right place at the right time, and they all count at the end of the day. And we were taking that. And as I said, I thought if we could get in at 1-1, and I mean, what was it? 29 minutes, I think he scored on. So not another third of the first half to go, but I'm thinking if we can take a 1-1 into half time, regroup and come out, see what we can do. But we didn't quite get that opportunity.
Mark, can you tell us a little bit about the second Ukraine goal from Yaremchuk on around 34 minutes?
Before we got the equaliser, and as we got the equaliser, we'd sort of stepped back into the game. We'd started to sort of knock the ball about and press quite well in their third, but they'd always looked pretty handy on the counter attack. So they were pumping balls basically down the flanks, in behind our wing backs, and they went down their right, our left, in behind Raitala. It was a nice little cutback, just sort of from the edge of the box towards Gankov, and he was, I mean, almost as surprised as we were that he was completely unmarked somewhere near the penalty spot. And he had it looked like an astute through ball first take, but if you watch the replays, you'll see he sort of shanked his shot, and it's kind of luckily fallen towards Yaremchuk, who's turned Toivio, and then he's probably the edge of the 6-yard box as he sort of places it in. It was a goal that, from a defensive perspective, had, I would say, 3 or 4 mistakes in it. Like, we didn't cover the runner. We didn't close down in the flank quick enough. We left a guy completely unmarked on the penalty spot. We didn't react when the ball came through, and then Toivio gets turned quite easily, even though by that point it's kind of late in the day. So it looked nice, I suppose. It was a nice move from the Ukrainians, but it was just a series of defensive errors.
So that goal was on 34 minutes, and you're right. That's the same kind of pattern of play continued until half time, of us being a bit slow and a bit ponderous in the passing, and Ukraine just being quicker, stronger, and a bit more purposeful with what they were doing. And then we went in at half time, and it kind of continued in the second half until the substitutions started to be made. And then on the 60th minute, Nico Hämäläinen and Uronen came on, and there was an immediate increase in tempo.
Yeah, I mean, Hämäläinen certainly made a difference. They were the team were getting down his side of the pitch, and he put in a couple of half decent crosses that ultimately come to nothing. But he was putting the ball in the right area, and there was a couple of bits right near the end where the ball came across from the other side, and Nico was sort of out there free on his side, all on his own. But again, the ball didn't quite make it over to him. But yeah, I certainly think he made a difference. Nisila, he looked as comfortable as he could on the ball. He was looking around, looking for the correct pass. A couple of threaded through balls to try and make something happen. But yes, I think by the time they came on, it was the game was only really going one way. As I say, even with that sort of injection of impetus that they gave it, the game still was sort of Finland just looked second to everything, to be honest.
Well, I think the subs, they highlighted the basic problem, which is that Lamb, he's not been in the folds. You can't pelt him too much, but in addition to not covering defensively, he couldn't connect the play forward. So when Lamb went off, Kamara dropped back. And then you've got sort of Nisila and Lod that are playing almost as attacking midfielders, sort of on the edge of the centre circle, like in the Ukrainian half. And what you'd find was, whenever we knocked the ball around at the back, which we like to do, Ukrainians came out to give us a bit of a press. And in Kamara, he doesn't take up as much space as somebody like Sparv, even as much as Schuller. And they pressed him pretty quickly, and he didn't have an out ball. Like, he didn't have he had the back three leg behind him, but then he couldn't really find a clear way to get to Alho on the right, Raitala on the left, and then on the subs came in Nisila and Hämäläinen. So we just couldn't link the play into the final third, and so what we ended up doing was pumping it long a lot of the time, and that worked off and on. We didn't look good for the first ball. I don't think we ever won a second ball or a knockdown. No. And then we took Jolle off at about 70 minutes. So then any long ball didn't really have any target to hit, and we couldn't really connect it. So
Nisila had a couple of sort of free kicks. I mean, that impetus that we got from those substitutions created some bother outside the Ukraine box, and that included sort of a couple of free kicks, one of which Nisila put high, wide and handsome well into the Pohjois-Karre. And the second one it didn't fall to him. It pinged at Paulus Arajuri as he was running in at the back post. It would have been very difficult for him to keep that on target, as he proved, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was a good free kick from Lod. Lod took it from the right and curled it across the keeper. This keeper that we actually didn't test either, who's 37. And looked from that free kick as well. Looked like a keeper we should be pinging. We should be trying to work him a bit more. Arajuri, not much you can do when it comes at you like that.
No, I'd agree with that. And Rich, we were thinking about the statistics as well, the match stats, and when you look at those stats, it looks quite even. It looks like, Finland did have the majority of the possession, 55%, and apparently had 9 chances, but it didn't feel like that, did it?
No, it was weird when the graphics came up on the screen during the game and it was all very even. And I guess, this was the thing, is that Finland's kind of, I wouldn't even call them half chances. They had a couple of times when they put the ball in the box or the scrambles that would probably be counted as chances. And again, it's difficult. This is the thing you judge. If you don't watch the game, you think, oh, it's quite even and Ukraine edged it. But at no point did the game get particularly close. Ukraine didn't play at 100% either because they didn't need to. But yeah, it was weird that, again, like the possession was there, but when Finland had the ball, they didn't do a huge amount with it. I mean, Kamara, before he dropped deep, looked good on the ball going forward, but it's just a strange one, really. And it's difficult because after the optimism we've had the last 3 years, and of course, you're stepping up a level. When Finland played Kazakhstan last month, they played on the front foot and they looked really good, albeit they only scored the once. But against a better team who played better on the night, all the stats in the world don't really help you if you're making errors, fairly simple errors at the back. And even Luke in goal, there were a couple of times, when you think if he was playing at his best, he'd have held the ball, or if he'd parried it, it would have gone safe. But a couple of times he parried the ball back into the centre of the goal. And it's just little things like that. And I'm not sure really, people just have off days, but it just, things like that where you kind of put your mortgage on him to keep things safe. And he just, a couple of times he did that and didn't reassure, which is very worrying.
So we've got Kazakhstan coming up again on Tuesday. It's a 5 p.m. kickoff here in Finland. So that's 3 p.m. for you two over in the UK. And if you're listening or watching somewhere else, you'll have to work it out for yourself what that means in your own time zone. But based on performances today and who was in the team today, what do we expect for Tuesday? I'm guessing that Shula's available again after his ban, so surely he'll come back into the team. But who else do you think might be back in?
No, Rive, he'll probably pick exactly the same team. Like he'll bring Shula in as cover. He'll probably keep Raitala on the left. Alho, I guess, will have to. I mean, he went off injured, so maybe Raitala on the right and Hämäläinen in on the left. But I don't think he'll make that many sweeping changes, because today, when he needed to make changes, he also, he was talking before the game about today that they can switch formation, whether it's a 5-3-2 or a 4-4-2, like they can work stuff out. But we didn't ever really at any point change it up. And then the last substitutes that we had today were Ruopiriski and Uronen. And I like both those guys, but they're really
Niskanen. Sorry, Mark, Niskanen.
Sorry, yeah, Niskanen. Yes, that's right. Ilmari Niskanen. That's right. And they're both really good players, but they're really pacey players. And you think, well, you've got Robert Taylor and Onni Valakari on the bench, who can play with the ball at the feet, play through like a really low block, because we were never going to get in behind the way Ukraine were playing today. So, I mean, sorry, that wasn't the question. That was just more complaining.
No, it's okay. More complaining is good. Do you think anything will change for Tuesday?
No, I don't think so. I think, and I also think, I mean, we've got to be realistic. We're now just out of the running to get to the playoffs. I don't think there's any. I mean, because Bosnia and Ukraine play each other in the next games, I'm not even sure we can get to the playoff spots anymore. So our number one job is to make sure that this resurgent Kazakhstan don't throw us any surprises.
I guess that's a good point. And in the if you look at the episode description for this episode, there'll be a link to Mark's match report, which will be surely coming along soon. And in there we'll also put the table as well. But as it stands at the moment, France are top on 6. Played 6 with 12 points. Ukraine are second with 8 points from 6. Bosnia-Herzegovina are third with 6 from 5. Finland are fourth with 5 from 5. And Kazakhstan are bottom with 3 from 6. So I guess we do still have a game in hand. Maximum points available, 14. But that includes playing France at home in November. So it's going to be tough. If we win the other 2 games against Kazakhstan and Bosnia, it gives us 11 points. Ukraine have still got 2 more games to play. They can easily end up on 14 themselves.
It does look like it's done, but the guys will try and get up for the game on Tuesday, and yeah, we've seen a Finland side beat France in recently, so yeah, you never know. It's there's still a chance.
This is where we get the old Dumb and Dumber picture out again.
We'll be getting it out.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, that we said. I mean, people go back to previous episodes when the draw was made. I mean, realistically, France will top the group, and then it's 1 from 3. I mean, no one expected Finland to make this a cakewalk, but I think it is a shame. I mean, we knew this was kind of the game that we needed. Really, we didn't want Ukraine to get any more ground, and we'll know a lot more after Tuesday. And if Finland can get a good result against Kazakhstan, then going in Bosnia away after that. And I mean, Bosnia hadn't won a game in nearly 2 years, I think, before today. So it was just one of those things, really. But in the grand scheme of things, we'll just have to chalk it up as an off day. And unfortunately, it looks like it's curtains in the group. But yeah, so you're telling me there's a chance. We were doing this during the Euros.
That's true. There's always a chance. We'll be back on Tuesday, or we'll be back together on Tuesday evening, and the podcast and video will follow soon after that. Remember to subscribe to wherever you're watching or listening to this now. You can find us on the various social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our various Twitter handles. Keke, where can people find you?
At Keke Mülleri on Twitter.
Rich, where are you?
At Escape to Swarmy.
Mark, you are?
At FC Swarmy.
And I'm at Explore Finland. But that's it for this episode. Until the next Finnish football show. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.